I thought it was a really electric football game. A lot of big plays, a lot of big defensive plays, a lot of big hits, etc. San Diego State beat Ohio University 20-13. It wasn't a pretty game, but it turned out the way I thought it would be. It turned out to be a slugfest and a defensive war. Um, San Diego State unveiled their new tight end offense. Didn't throw a lot to the tight ends early, wound up completing 7 passes to them, most of them in the second half. Couple of them touchdown passes to Mark Redmond. That was the difference in the Aztecs' victory. Jalen Maiden started really bad. He was really inaccurate. He had trouble with pressure. They moved him off the spot. He went 4 for 10 out of the gate, and just he was missing everybody. And then all of a sudden, they hit a couple running plays, which kind of changed the pass rush. And then he got into rhythm. He wound up going 13 for 20 the rest of the game. He did a really good job. And obviously, he threw the touchdown passes to the tight end. The defense got better and better as they went. 3 picks, had a 4th interception that was taken back 100 yards, negated by a penalty. Their defensive secondary, nobody's talked about this. I mean, they threw a blanket on the Bobcat big receivers. They had 8 pass deflections on top of the 3 pass interceptions. Tough break for the Bobcats. Curtis Rourke, who I think is a spectacular group of 5 quarterback. He was 8 for 10 in the first quarter, 73 yards and 2 drops. Could have been 10 for 10. I thought the kid was on his way to a 400-yard game. And then he scrambled, got rushed, got sacked, got hit. I thought he got hit late. I thought he took a helmet hit. I don't know that he re-injured the knee. They were going to do x-rays today. They didn't put him back in the game. The backup, Anthony Harris, very active, but a little bit inaccurate. He threw 3 picks. He was under a little bit different type of pressure. Tough loss for the Bobcats. They had 380 yards, most of that with the backup quarterback. If Rourke had been there, I don't know what he would have done to San Diego State, because he was just going up and down the field. So, hey, take the win. They earned it. They got better as the game went on. Cody Moon, the transfer linebacker from New Mexico, 11 tackles. He was everywhere. There are 2 running backs, Keenan Christian and Jalen Armstead, broke off 2 big runs along the way. So that's typical Aztec football. Hugely disappointed. The announced crowd was over 23,000 tickets distributed. That was not 23,000. I was told it was more, just north of 16,000. And then on top of everything else, on Sunday, the athletic director, JD Wicker, sent out a mass email to San Diego State alumni asking them to come support the football program. Come fill up Snapdragon. It was almost as if he was begging. It's like an act of desperation. And I feel bad, because I think that JD Wicker and Brady Hook are pretty honorable guys and are working really hard, but they're running uphill trying to convince people that this is worth seeing. Because the fans are they're not buying it. They're not buying it because they don't like the heat of day games. They're not buying it because they don't seem to like anything related to the Mountain West Conference. And they're surely not buying it because of the disappointment of the end result about, are we in a Power 5 conference or not? Now you seem stuck in a group of 5. But I thought that was really a reach for JD Wicker to just beg the alumni to show up. Now, my gripe with the alumni, and this is legitimate, how could there be 150,000 alumni in San Diego County and hardly any of them want to go see Aztec football? And how could the university, which gives tickets to the students, limits those tickets to 5,000? That's all they got to give.
Really?
In a stadium, it's got empty seats everywhere. Rethink that. Make it 10,000 free tickets, as long as you're not sold out.
Yeah.
Get those kids to come and experience. What those kids do in the end zone seats before the game for the players is really, really neat. But there's not enough of them there. So they've got so many infrastructure problems in the decisions that they've made. I think I said it last week. I'll say it again on this Monday bonus podcast. I think San Diego State's got the ability to go 9-3.
That'd be good.
And they're playing a really, really rugged schedule. Okay, so that's what I think about red and black football. What did you see?
Well, it started off, I thought it was big trouble. I mean, because the way Rourke was moving that ball and Maiden was shaky in that first quarter, I was like, oh, here we go. This is not getting off to a good start. But yeah, as the game progressed, I mean, really the score could have been 27-6, if they didn't call back that 100-yard touchdown interception. But it was just disappointing watching the game on TV because the stands looked about half full. I'm still of the opinion that win is going to mean a lot. So let's assume they win next week against Idaho State. They're 2-0, and then I think then it's UCLA,
Yes.
right? So you got a little momentum there. I think as this program wins, they'll start filling it in like Viejas. But as fans, there's so many things that maybe deter you from going because people still have that first game branded in their mind with 100-degree heat.
And ticket prices and parking prices.
Yeah, they said that's all still true. And people are still complaining about the prices of the tickets. Then you've got this disappointment of not getting into a Power 5 conference. And then you're still recovering from those previous 2 years when they were playing up in Carson. So it's just this perfect storm of things working against them. But I think if they just start taking care of business, I think the stadium will fill up.
But see, here's the issue, though. I don't mean to argue with you, dummy, but I'm going to argue with you, dummy. They've had great success. Brady Hoke fixed this thing, left. Rocky Long built it. Brady took it over, and they've had a couple of good years and then kind of a drop-off year. I mean, when you're winning 10 games on a yearly basis and you're going to bowls every year, is that not a catalyst? And they've beaten some of the bottom teams in the Pac-12. So they've done their job in terms of putting the product on the field with the end result. Scoreboard says Aztecs win. Community has not responded. I sat with John Quintera, who I've worked with forever as a talk show host. And we were in the press box. And I was the only one that was wearing green in the press box. But we talked back and forth. I said, John, do you remember on the old Extra 690, and we broadcast the Aztecs for a chunk of years. That was the Marshall Faulk era. You remember 48,000 every home game when they were playing BYU in the shootouts and they tied UCLA and they had the 51-51 tie with Brigham Young? I mean, the place was electric. The community responded. And it hasn't responded since that point in time. Now, granted, there's no Marshall Faulk, but we've had a couple of Heisman Trophy potential candidates there. Where in the community is much bigger now. It was not 3.5 million in 1990 when Marshall Faulk was going sweep 60-yard touchdown runs. Just don't understand why the community has not responded to what I tend to think is a fairly credible football program at this level, unless it's just everybody's in grudge mode because of the things on your checklist and the fact it's not a Power 5 conference.
Yeah, but it's still early. I mean, school just started. I think there's a lot of newbies at state that haven't settled into the dorms yet, because you would expect that stadium should be, at least 1/3 students, right? Filling that thing up. But there's demonstrated performance that the Aztecs fans will fill Viejas. They will support a winner. Everyone's kind of on the edge of there. Is this a winner or not? But you know what? They didn't just beat the bottom feeders of the Pac-12. They beat UCLA the last time they played them. And I think that was on the road in the Rose Bowl, wasn't it? So, this is a legit program, a legit team. They deserve our support. I'm going to the game next week. See if we get Idaho State. It'll be my first experience at Snapdragon. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so the bottom line for everybody who's going to join us on Fans Forum, and any San Diego State fans out there, please tell us in Fans Forum why you either come to the games or you don't give a bleep, and why there are all these empty seats, and where has San Diego State gone wrong. One other college